right, today we're talking fundamentals, more specifically, the back elbow. Let's dig in. All right, we're talking fundamentals and specifically the back elbow. Big part of your stroke, it's the most important part of your stroke, it's everything. Before we get started though, I do want to say, 3 seconds, sponsor, new gloves. These are awesome, they come in new colors, slightly different design. They feel great. They got blue, red, tan, and black. I'm gonna be giving these out soon, so pay attention. But, great gloves. So back to this elbow. So we're talking about the back elbow, and I just recently did a video about stroke timing. And one of the centers around that was about the elbow, and a lot of people had a lot of comments about 2 parts of that video. One is keeping it really high. The other part of that was about an elbow drop. So I want to kind of go over both of those things in its own video because I think that it's really, 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 really important. What we're going to talk about is, I'll go back over what I talked about in that previous video, is keeping your back elbow high or over your head and what it does. So I talked about how a lot of professional players put their chin on the cue. And a lot of them will say it's because they want to sight down the middle of the cue. I'm not 100% convinced that's the actual reason that they're doing it. I think that's what they think, but I think what they're really finding out is, yeah, you can sight very well getting down over the thing, but you've already really aimed by that point, so I'm not totally convinced of that. What I do think is happening is that high elbow is giving them a very efficient stroke. So we go back to elementary school when we learned about simple machines, right? We learned about levers, and your arm is a lever and your elbow is the fulcrum. And in the last video I talked about if I were a puppet and there was, a puppeteer in the sky who was controlling all my joints and they had my elbow up high and then they had my wrist, as soon as they let go of my wrist, it would fall down naturally. The gravity would just force it through the center here. Now, if my elbow was low, same thing, it would kind of just die. It would just kind of decelerate through. So in order to accelerate through easily without any effort at all gravity-based, that high elbow is going to let you just fall right through your stroke instead of just pushing through with muscle. That's where we start to fall apart. Going a little fast here, just trying to get all of my thoughts out of my head. But basically, that's what I mean by having that high elbow is very efficient. So we get down, the elbow is high, and I just let it drop. And it follows right through pretty easily without much effort. The other question that came up was about the elbow drop. I said in that video that the European players, a lot of them, do an elbow drop. And, for the most part, that's true. But not everyone does an elbow drop. There's a lot of people who are for it. There's a lot of people who are against it. Let's talk about it. So, first things first with your elbow. I said get it up high. Stand behind that. I think it's the best thing for you. But it's all about consistent. So you get down on your shot, your elbow up high, you're doing your warm-up strokes. You really want your elbow to stay in the same position. You're going to see great players like Francisco Bustamante or an Efren Reyes, and they're some of the best players that have ever lived, and they do a lot of this. They're doing a lot of stuff. To be honest with you, I don't have the talent to do that. You probably don't have the talent to do that. Almost everyone doesn't have the talent to do that. If you want to be good, if you want to be successful in pool, it's probably best to be consistent and keep your elbow locked until you go through the ball, no matter what. Which is locked, and then as soon as I hit the ball, that's when you can decide to do 2 things. You can go through the ball like this, and keep your elbow up high. It'll drop a little bit, it has to, that's just the nature of whatever. Or you could do something like a Federer Gorst does, and it can be really difficult if you go through with an elbow drop, where your elbow kind of ends up down here. But the secret to that, and maybe that's where this word timing really comes from, is when do you drop your elbow? And the answer there is when you're going through the cue ball. At a certain point, At a certain point, you have to do something or else you can't follow through as much as you really want to. So if you want a really, really big follow through, you're gonna have to drop your elbow at some point or be able to get your body completely out of the way. I stand with my body kind of square, like almost like a snookerish type of stance where my cue is going through my chest. So for me, I have to drop that elbow if I really want to draw my ball or follow my ball or force follow. I got to drop it even more. But the secret here to an elbow drop is to make sure it doesn't happen until you're hitting the cue ball. Once you hit the cue ball, you can allow your elbow to drop and follow through the ball. So that's that. I just wanted to clarify that. This is still a really big topic. I think it's really important to understand the importance of that back elbow, not only from your pre-shot and your pre-warm-ups and your, the efficiency part of that, but also how you can either drop your elbow or not drop your elbow and have your desired results. You're going to probably be a little bit more consistent not dropping your elbow, but you're going to have less cue power. And if you drop your elbow, it's going to take a lot more time to really learn that and hone that skill. But the cue ball, you can get a lot of bang for your buck out of that cue ball. You can really draw the ball, you can really zip it around, but it takes a little bit longer to be consistent. So again, I say it every time, give it a try. I hope it helps. Experiment. This game's all about experimenting. It's all about learning. You're constantly learning. I don't care if you've been playing for 50 years. I don't care if you're the best player in the world. You're still learning stuff. We're all still learning stuff. So play with it. Try to find consistency more than anything. Consistency is the name of the game. So good luck.